My father was crying. It was painful for him because
Right.
he saw a drop in our production. Now you're talking about less income, but it's a higher quality. He didn't know it was a higher quality.
That's one of my favorite clips from a conversation I had with Diamantis Pierrakos, who, with his brother Dino, run the Greek olive oil brand Laconiko. We speak here in the Laconiko farm in December 2022, in the middle of the olive harvest, which is the busiest time of year for olive oil producers. When it comes to what motivates you, do you have family yourself?
Yes, I do. Married, I have two twin girls.
Where do they live?
They're back home waiting for me.
Oh my
In
god.
Virginia, yes.
Holy, I didn't know this.
Yes. 21-month-old twins, girls.
When do you go back to see them?
I'll be there hopefully before Christmas to see them.
That'd be awesome. How long have you been here for?
I've been here since mid October.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time. But why do? We do it for the love of the olive oil, the goal is have the family here. Hopefully next year, when I'm harvesting, they can all be here
and see and play.
Yes, we want them to experience what we experienced growing up, right? With the lifestyle and to get the appreciation.
Wow, I didn't know you had kids. That changes a lot. That's another whole purpose you have. Difficult.
Yes.
And that's things that you don't consider when it comes to farming, especially in here. You live in the United States.
Yeah.
Then you have to farm here and then go back. It's not easy.
Yes.
I used to think farmers that lived an hour away from their families a lot. You're serving for your company. You could be doing it from a computer and hiring people and having people.
I could, but that we would not have the appreciation that we have now. We're not pointing fingers, to somebody telling them do this like this. I mean, for us, it is you have to lead by example. The harvest has been something that I've always done. It's not something that can ever be taken away from me. It's not something that I will not do.
Right.
I feel it is part of the process for us to produce the quality that we produce. When you have a really hands-on approach, then I think it's reflected in the product at the end of the day. People could say, you're like a control freak or something like this, but
right.
But it's much more than this. It's like it's a way to connect. Even our trees, they sense my presence. They understand how important our olive oil is. I feel like the fact that I'm here, they're gonna produce a better olive oil for me.
It goes really deep. It's like spiritual.
Yeah.
If you don't believe it like that, then you're not going to get that quality product. People have these really high expectations these days of what their products are, but they don't really understand the process of even like, if you're a farmer that's been farming for, generations in one way and you have to change it, it's a lot to change. It's not as simple as like, okay, let's go organic, because then you may lose all your crop for 1 year or 2 years, and you can't survive. So it needs to be a very methodical adjustment of what you're doing. And it seems like you guys are like, it takes a long time, and you're not like fully organic as like the whole thing right now, but you're clearly making strides in order to,
of course,
slowly turn this into a more modern type of expectation.
Yes, you're right. People don't understand. It's not overnight. Oh, next year I'm going to be organic. Right. It doesn't work like this. The trees have to adjust. The soil needs to adjust. People don't understand the type of soils that people are dealing with, and we deeply control the pesticides, so we can assure you that we don't have chemicals residue in the olive oil, but it is much deeper than this.
But it still gets complicated because sometimes there are things that are out of your control, like your neighbors, that they could be spraying and then your crops are next to them. What are you going to do?
Correct.
It gets really dicey.
Yes, and I think technology is also changing. Obviously they're coming with better. Obviously, the fruit fly is one of the biggest issues.
Right.
For a producer to consider going organic, this is probably the biggest factor, because people don't realize that a lot of organic olive oil is very much defective. They might be consumer organic, but you got some fruit fly larvae that's been crushed in the malaxin. Some you're consuming its oil. So it's not everything is nice and dandy. If you for them to understand to get the full picture, you look at the fruit. Can it be graded as extra virgin olive oil? Sure, but the grade of extra virgin olive oil is so lax, it allows a lot of rotten, fly-infested fruit to be present, and it can still grade as extra virgin olive oil.
It's a whole process to get your grow organic, but it takes time, and eventually it's a process. That's all it is. It's a learning every year. You do a little bit new,
and we're doing everything on our power. Because obviously there's a lot of demand, but people need to understand, to have a clear picture that all organic oil in the market is not the best.
You have a concentration on a different type of healthy. You're doing something a little different this year than you usually do. Well, first off, I guess let's go through the history. And I think this is really important because a lot of farmers actually kind of tell a similar story that had generational farming, because their ancestors they farmed in a specific way that was traditionally known as the olive ripens on the tree. Once it's ripe, then you pick and you take the oil. And then things were discovered more recently. You could find this on social media everywhere, early harvest, whatever. But it's a little more complicated than that. It doesn't just happen your early harvest and it tastes good. Like it's just like anything, it's a process.
It's a process.
You mentioned before when we were talking like that you had like some conflict or something.
When somebody's early harvest, everybody claims that that's a new title these days, early harvest, and early harvest olive oil have a very distinct profile. They have a very distinct taste in the mouth. And something that a lot of consumers are not used to yet. They're acquiring. They tend to be more grassy oils, more peppery oils.
Right.
The consumer needs to understand that there's a big difference between early harvested oils, and when we're focusing on healthier oils, the profile they tend to have is more green, more grassy, more pungency, more pepperiness, where back then they were considered defects. Even the producers, they were used to making oil from very mature fruit, and it's still very normal for them to make it to this very day because they don't sacrifice on the yield. And this is not something that Greek producers do. This is something that all producers do. They care about the yield.
Yes. You only see a little bit on the source shelf. There's so much out there. Most producers, 99%.
Yes.
Yield only, but you're not a yield guy.
We're not a yield guy, and this was a crazy idea to my father. The yield is, what's our yield? And you go to a meal and they give you a good yield, they're like, oh, you automatically assume, oh, this is a good meal. And then you take your fruit to another meal, test another one, and like they give you a little better meal and better yield, and you're gonna automatically assume that this is the better meal.
Of course, they're not taking as much of my oil.
Yes. So it is much more complicated than the yield. Obviously with early harvested oils, it was discovered that they're healthier, they last longer on the shelf. Now you have all the olive oils, now they have a 2-year expiration date. The problem with this is that most olive oils don't have a 2-year shelf life because they were harvested wrong. They lack the antioxidants that preserves the actual product, but they will be labeled with a 2-year expiration.
It was interesting. I was in California and I was at a hotel.
Yeah.
And they had olive oil that was produced in 2019. I tasted it and it tasted great. It was super early harvest. And I was like, wow. When I say great, I don't think it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I was also newer to tasting at the time.
Yeah.
I can't be fully confident in it, but like it was not expired. It was not that defective.
Yes.
And like they could last.
Yes.
Will the quality go down? Probably.
Yeah.
It also depends on the elements that it's contained in, how it was bottled. Is there oxygen in the bottle? Is it 75 degrees in the room that it's in? Are the lights always on?
Yeah.
Is it in like cover? There's so many little things that can go wrong.
So many factors. Yes, we're probably the extreme when it comes to olive because
you need that though. You need the extreme people.
Yeah.
That's how you make change in this industry.
Yes. So I mean, when we're the extreme, and you have these crazy ideas, and we felt that we have to be able to produce the best. But it's not something that all producers, you speak with them, they'll tell you they produce the best.
Yeah.
You'll meet this throughout your trip. You probably noticed whatever producer you speak with, I make the best.
Of course.
For us, what was very.
I say I agree. I have to. What am I going to say?
True.
Yeah, yours is not the best.
Yes, people are like,
Gotta respect them. Yeah.
But what is important though for me, because we were like this too. Well, I saw it a little bit deeper than this. I didn't want myself to say that our olive oil was the best. I needed other people to recognize that it was the best, right? And in the beginning, we weren't getting this. We were getting this from the consumer, but we weren't getting it from the big international competitions. We felt I needed to hear it from them.
Some validation, of course.
In the beginning, when we first started, we weren't getting this. So I kept my mind very open. I'm like, so then how can I believe my olive oil is the best if I'm not being recognized? Slowly started making a lot of changes in our olive grove. We're making a lot of changes in the harvest, in the way we harvest, everything. You're
really trying to make it perfect.
Right? I was trying to make it perfect because I'm like, how can I say it's the best if they're not seeing it as the best?
So like, what's an example? It's so interesting you think like this. What is an example of like harvesting change that you may have made?
There's just so many little details that happened over time. It's not just one particular thing. Controlling the irrigation. Something as simple as this. How much water? The type of pruning that we're doing plays a factor. The time of harvest, the time of malaxation.
Storage of the olives.
Storage of the final product. So many steps that it can go wrong. Slowly, you make adjustment to one and you see, all of these things have to kind of click together all at once to get this final product. Changes were happening continuously. and throughout. It took a long time, and it was funny because nobody helped us to this. We kind of slowly discovered this on our own, from our research and studying it, just because we're just so passionate about it. I was so
Yeah.
I'm like all into perfection, trying to make it the best. I'm like, what do I need to do to make it better? And you're applying different things every year, and then start getting the recognition that you deserve, and you feel like I'm on the right road. We're doing something right. And then you're applying something, you're learning something, you're passing that knowledge. And I felt that our olive oil is a reflection of our work. So it has to reflect in the product. So when a customer tastes our product, it's our reflection. Our all our hard work is reflected in that oil. And it goes back to what we're talking about, my motivation, because our motivation is our loyalty to our customers. You can't take any shortcuts, because somewhere it's going to be reflected. And when you put so much work into our olive oil, and you want to be able to look at your customers in the eyes and know that I put 100% effort to produce the best that I could this year.
Absolutely.
You cannot feel that, hey, I took a little shortcut and I did 95.
That's only internalized, because there's so much information that you could talk about, and a lot of producers do this. They'll manipulate what they say in order to make sure that they say all the good stuff and leave the bad stuff, and not even make sure it doesn't even get asked.
Of course.
But then they know in the back of their mind what they're doing.
Deep inside,
Deep inside.
You understand?
If you know you're doing the right thing, then you're gonna you'll live a better life. You're
Yes.
happier, and hopefully it'll come out in the oil as well.
Yes, our work is reflected in that. I mean, there's no other way. I don't get to interact with all our customers.
Right.
So I hope that what I put into the product is going to be reflected. People will recognize this, right? And at the end of the day, not every year is the same. But the things that I can control, I need to feel like I put 110%. In the weather conditions, this is something that I cannot control. And I can't promise that every olive oil every year is gonna be the same, because it will not be the same. Yes, I'm very like I'm promised this, but realistically, it is not possible. At the end of the day, as long as I feel that we give 100%, this is enough for me. I can look at you and say, this year I did 110%. This is the best I could do. I used all my knowledge, everything I've learned all these years. I applied it. I didn't take any shortcuts. I stayed up late to make sure that this is everything I could do, and I feel good that whether they like it or they don't like it, I feel like I gave 100%.
Yes, and my goal of this whole thing that I'm doing is like, for people, not just me, because I recognize that now, because I'm literally like talking to people like you in all these different regions who not everyone says the same thing, but like there are a lot of people that reflect that similar mindset of like, as long as I put that 100% effort in, it'll come out in the oil, all that. Like it's amazing stuff. But the problem is, a lot of people don't get to, that story doesn't get to people that are having the oil. So then they consume a product, they don't know where it comes from, they don't care where it comes from, just because it's just there. It's like, okay, it's olive oil, right?
Yeah, they just see it as an olive oil.
Just see it as olive oil. They put it on their bread. They don't know what brand it came from. They don't know, but there's so many deeper reasons for this. This has to do with the way restaurants are structured, the way supermarkets work, and incentive, and people, the way that they also view olive oil versus they view wine. It goes deep, and there are reasons for this. But my goal is to make it so people start to appreciate where it comes from, and instead of hiding all the information, because even today, even the newest companies, they'll no names named, but they're not to give credit to the farmer, to give people transparency into their real process. They'll give service level details in order to get the customer to want their product more than they would want a not so good blended product, but they're not actually giving them the best possible product they could give, because it may not be as profitable for their brand that they're putting out.
Yes,
so,
a lot of people eventually those companies may start off offering something good.
Yeah.
But then profit comes into play, and they're like, I can make even more money. And then they start taking shortcuts.
Right.
And then the product starts to change.
But then over time, there's a cycle. And this is what I noticed in cryptocurrencies and stuff. Everything seems good until it doesn't.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't want to create something that's like this. It would be great. Look, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
If I make a lot of money, whatever,
yes,
I'm not going to complain.
Yes.
But I'm not doing it for this. I'm doing it for the slow. Because I want to be able to, when the times are bad, I want to still be able to continue climbing.
This is the most important.
Yeah, and we're doing way different business models. But like this
Yes,
is just me personally
but
talking.
you're right. But that's the I think I feel that the mentality that you have is the right mentality because just like us, we never did it for the money. We knew that we had we're doing it for a higher purpose, right?
Yes, make change and like
It makes
really help
something
people.
in making something important for us. It was to keep it in the family so we don't lose something that that was instilled in us from a young age, so it's not gone. So it had a higher purpose. It was never about, oh, let me do this to make a lot of money, right? I feel that if you do it with a lot of love and a lot of passion, that will come on its own without you even
The
realizing
money
it.
will follow if you do the right thing, of
Yes,
course.
but if your purpose is to make money, I feel that it'll be a failure.
But this is the traditional thought of farmers. They want to make yield because
They want
yield
to make
equals dollars in their mind.
yes,
But
yes,
it's not that simple, and it's just not like that anymore.
yes,
Times are changing.
yes.
Get
People
with it.
want immediate results,
Of course. Well,
and
then there are reasons for this. Some people actually have real money struggles and they need the money.
yes.
But then if they act like that, there are ways around it. I feel like that could be better.
For change to happen, you're not going to change it overnight.
No.
It has to happen slowly. People have to test things out. You have to, like us, we started from nothing. The only thing we had was our olive oil. We started making changes. It was deeply affecting our yield drastically. My father was crying. It was painful for him because
Right.
he saw a drop in our production.
I could imagine because he's had control his whole
Of
life. It's been like
course.
this, and then all of a sudden
It's
you're
like-
producing. It's like here.
Yes, it was a big drop. Like now you're talking about less income, but it's a higher quality. He didn't know it was a high quality, and it takes time to educate the consumer to recognize
There's
this.
there's lag effects to
But-
everything.
But the thing with us is we knew it was better. The right message has to go across so people can understand and recognize it by educating, just like we were educated on a higher quality product on how to make it. We were applying changes over time. Well, if we can help them understand it, then people will recognize and they'll be able to pay for this
Right.
difference. Okay, they will understand. But we play a big role too, to play an education role to the actual consumer. Now,
So hard.
it's so difficult because not how many producers have the opportunity to talk directly to the consumer. I mean, people don't realize that the high quality olive oil is not in the commercial grade brands.
Nah, really
No.
rare. It's rare to have like a really big company that has
Yeah,
that line.
that
They don't have the
has-
incentive to.
That's why you don't hear a lot of the producer's story. You don't hear these small producers. What happens to most oil, and why does it not benefit a lot of producers to make high quality olive oil?
Right.
Why isn't there more? Because a high quality olive oil costs more. You sacrifice a lot of the yield that I mentioned to you. But what happens to the mills? A typical producer, just like us, we used to sell our olive oil. We sell it to the mills.
Like your dad. You're
Like
saying.
my father.
So Laconiko
you know.
wasn't a thing.
Well, Laconiko didn't exist before my brother and I stepped in.
Another person I spoke with had the same story.
Yeah.
They didn't have that brand until.
Yeah, we didn't exist. We're always here. Our olive oil was always sold here. And who do we sell? The producers sell their olive oil. We sell it to the mill. Who is the mill serving? The mill is serving the big industry. Is the mill paying the producer for higher quality? No. Is the mill doing education courses to educate what the higher quality is? No.
The opposite.
They
They don't want people to know.
what is important for the producer? Obviously, I have this many trees. I might have this much fruit. How much oil can I squeeze from this fruit?
No grades, just oil. That's it.
Oil. This is what is important for the producer. How much oil can I squeeze from this fruit? You increase temperatures. It's the mill's job to make as much oil. If they want to keep me as a
Yeah.
customer, you got to be able to squeeze as much oil from this fruit as possible. And of that fruit, there's no multiple process. People a lot of times they're confused that they think there's multiple crushes and all this stuff.
Yep.
This is the biggest gimmick. So obviously temperature plays a big role
Right.
on the yield. Higher temperatures, I can squeeze more oil from my fruit.
Higher temperatures, more oil. Colder temperatures, less
Cold-
oil. But the colder temperature oil,
Produces-
what happens to the
yeah.
aromas and like the
Yes, you
all that.
preserve more of the aromas when it is lower temperatures.
Right.
So cold press means technically for extra virgin olive oil that it's pressed below 27 degrees and below Celsius. But who's checking? Nobody. Nobody's checking.
no one has oversight.
You understand? Nobody. This is the problem. Nobody is checking those temperatures.
They check acidity. They check different elements that are called like extra virgin.
Yeah.
They taste it, and if it tastes just at the bar, extra virgin, sure.
Yeah.
But like, this doesn't mean that the best practices are being had.
Yes.
This is a lot of.
So that's why a lot of the mills, obviously they want to keep me as a customer. They want to keep the other producer as a customer. And what is important for me is how much oil you're gonna squeeze from this specific number of fruit that I'm bringing you, and I'm gonna pick the mill that's gonna give me the best return. So
that was the old way of thinking.
This is the old way, and still the modern way of thinking, because
for most, not all,
the mill is not gonna recognize if I'm gonna bring him the best fruit from the producer that brings him the worst fruit. They don't care. Like, the mill isn't gonna pay me for my higher quality, or the mill doesn't care if I sacrificed my yield. So it benefits the producer to harvest at a specific time that's gonna give them the best return.
You're implying that most producers, they don't mind the warm, they don't care, because the quality is not the number one thing.
They don't care.
So they want higher yield they want like quantity over quality.
Of course.
You seem to be the opposite. You're more of a quality over quantity guy. So if you want quality and you're using a mill that the quantity is using, how do you kind of tell the mill, like, hey, I want this process so that we get the best quality possible? And what are the effects that you feel from that sometimes?
I mean, for me, it's been stressful for me, because we're in the process of having our own mill,
which is amazing. That'll be awesome.
Should the mills get paid because they get a percentage of your olive oil here in Greece? Well, typically what is done here in Greece, the mill gets a percentage. The producer doesn't go out every day when they're going to mill my fruit. I don't give him money to use his equipment. Right?
He takes a cut.
He takes a cut from your oil. This is how the mill gets paid and is able to run. So they get a percentage. So when I'm going to my mill, I feel like I have, and I know the type of oil that I want to produce, and I want to be able to produce the best, and I want to be able to offer the best to my customers. I feel it is my job as a producer to know what I need to do to kind of guide the miller to do it the way that I want, to make this specific oil that I need. So most producers don't do this. Plus, it's not necessarily beneficial for the miller either, because doing it my way, they're not going to make as much oil from me. They're not in the volume of oil,
and they're not selling your oil the way that you're selling your oil.
Yes,
they're probably mixing it in with the rest.
They're going to mix it. Yes, you're going to go. A producer may make an oil. It's going to be mixed with another 100, 200, 300 producers in a barrel. Your oil might have been excellent. Not to take away anything from other producers, yours might be excellent. Mine might have been completely terrible. It's going to be mixed in the same pot. And then if you go ask for your oil tomorrow, you'll never get your oil tomorrow. You're going to get a blend of everybody else's oil. This is the reality. And, yes, they want to win producers. They want to make as much oil for the producers to keep them as customers. And, a lot of times these mills are forced to take shortcuts and to increase temperatures to keep you. Now, who's buying from these mills? You have these big companies coming, huge Italian, Spanish companies who are buying in bulk, big companies in America who are blending these oils. They're going to call them extra virgin olive oil. I don't know what they're doing, cutting them, who knows? But yes, there's a lot of those companies, and those are the companies that don't want to pay top dollar. So it doesn't benefit.
No.
So what do they expect? They're going to get my olive oil, Laconiko Olive Oil? It would be impossible.
No chance. You wouldn't give that up either.
I could not do this.
No.
So it has to be, I feel like your customers and my customers would have to be more of the educated customer who's actually is going to sit here and listen to this podcast and want to get educated and learn a little bit more about the product they're consuming. Because just like you mentioned, somebody's buying an expensive bottle of wine, right?
Right.
Why is that important to them? Why are they buying that one? Was it done a specific way?
Different people. There are some people that do it for the flex. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's like going to the club and who buys the Don Julio 1942? You get the bottle. You're like, hey,
yeah.
So like, there are people that do that, but then there are people that really care about the quality.
Yes,
and that's what you need. Like
good wine. People are buying wine because they're looking for different grapes, right? Different grapes produce different types of wine,
right?
And people don't understand that extra virgin olive oil is not extra virgin olive oil, right? It is the varietal is what gives olive oil its profile.
Right.
It is, people, the educated consumer, I feel that they would look for a varietal just like they would look for a type of wine when they're buying it.
Right.
There's many companies making Merlot wine or Cab wine, right? Certain companies make cab wine better than other. So this is how
Right.
we see our varietal. We don't just call our olive oil extra virgin olive oil. We call it Koroniki extra virgin olive oil because this is our varietal.
Right.
You know, and we just happen to make one of the best Koroniki varietals in the world. And this is, this is what we pride ourselves in. At least if somebody, the educated consumer, is looking to educate them, to give them as much information, so hopefully they'll make the right decision when they're buying it, to kind of lead them in the right direction, so they're not misled by all these generic terms like first press, cold press, extra virgin olive oil, sourced from the best producers, terminology that is insignificant, doesn't really tell you anything
Right.
about the quality and what's inside the product.
I think it's important for people to understand the base level of like what extra virgin means, and it's no like I don't even understand the full like chemical
Yeah.
breakdown because it goes deep. Because then you could say this chemical level must be this, but then what does that chemical actually mean?
Yeah.
You could keep diving in.
Yes,
I'm not a
yes.
chemist.
Yes, and you don't need to get into this.
No, but I think at least give the education of like at least what is the current bar that's set, and then get them to understand like why maybe that's not accurate. And then like that's kind of what we're trying to do. And like extra virgin shouldn't be the be all end all. It should be greater than that. But here's the thing with extra virgin: you get extra virgin olive oil. It's better than the light olive oil, better than refined.
Right.
So it's not chemically processed, which is that's good. So it's all like kind of balancing. Like how do you educate the customer?
How do you educate? I mean, I'll try to keep it simple. Okay, this is how I do it. I give advice. My biggest advice I can give to a consumer is they need to remember that they're tasting a fruit. An olive is a fruit. And I wish I could take the word oil away from the extra virgin olive oil because it kind of pushes customers away from actually tasting the actual product.
Oh, of course.
Right.
So less oil. That's another
less oil.
huge debate.
Don't think as oil. You're actually tasting a fruit. Okay. So I want to keep it simple. An olive oil that you're tasting, you should always smell it and taste it first before you use it in your cuisine, or the olive oil that you're choosing to use. You need to remember that you're tasting a fruit. Now, there's different types of olive fruit. They're going to have different fruity notes, and it is totally normal.
Like apples.
Just like apples, but you need to remember that you're tasting a fruit, so you should expect some fruity aromas. You should expect some fruity taste in your mouth. It should be clean. Don't think of it as an oil. If it's oily, it's either been rancid or it's been blended or
it's hard to know the first time, but like
it's
as
hard
you
to know,
continually
but
taste,
you continue to taste.
become mindful of these
yes,
things.
at least know that if you're getting an authentic olive oil or not.
It's the best about this thing, like olive oil, and this is food in general. If you're doing the right thing, it'll come out in the flavor.
Yes.
If you're not doing, if there is a big issue in your process, it's gonna
be reflected
really
in
show up
in your oil.
Absolutely.
Whether it's going to taste burnt, because you overcooked it during the malaxation, or you're going to have you'll have muddy notes in the olive oil.
Right. Olives that sat out in in
spoiled,
big piles.
Yes.
Is that a chicken?
We got frogs over here. We're in nature. We're outside.
What is that?
The frog.
Where?
Right here.
I don't even see
In the
it.
bushes.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. We're in nature. What do you expect? Just remember that the consumer just needs to obviously finding a right source is very important. Like what you're doing for your customers, I think is a beautiful thing.
Thanks.
Because you're kind of doing the legwork, trying to source and find and experience firsthand what's really happening. You play a very big, significant role what you're doing. I know you probably don't realize it yet, but I'm letting you know as a producer that you are doing a beautiful thing, because with the knowledge that you're gonna have now, you get to pass it on to thousands of people. A lot of us don't do our own podcast, and we don't have we can pass that information along. So
that's why I bring you on. So then
yes.
your brand also gets helped as well. That's the whole idea behind it. It's not just about me. It's about the industry, about change. It's like if I benefit. Thank you. I appreciate the words.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Actually, I want to talk a little about like your plans for your future, and you're doing a lot of good things. Like you have the new organic line that you're starting to create. You have the new mill that's being built. When is that expected? Is that like 2024?
We hope within the next 2-3 years we're going to be all set up where it's going to offer agritourism. People will be able to come visit us and spend the night and experience the harvest truly understand the process of what it's involved. If they want
Absolutely.
to harvest with us, they can harvest with us.
I think these are great things that you're doing. And look, I'll say there are producers that have already done this. They did it 5-10 years ago. But like it can't just all be perfect. Like everything happens at a certain point of time. You're deciding to do it now, and then I'm really happy because now you're gonna bring people in, say in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it could be 40 years from now. People from all different parts of the world. They come in, you get to stay in Greece. I mean, you have like a private beach here. It is. This is top notch. You just in a couple of years, it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be number one.
I'm excited.
You're gonna be back here.
I want to come back.
I'm letting you know this right now.
It'll be great. Bring family one day, but I'm still single in 24. But that's another story.
It's okay. You still
you also have a new line of oils this year that you're doing. Could you talk a little about that?
We're gonna be launching high phenolic, which means some olive oils are specifically made for the healthy conscious producer who is looking for an extremely high in antioxidant olive oil,
right?
From extremely very, very, very young unripe fruit, with the certification to back it up of its high antioxidant.
Is there certification that you need for that?
All olive oils can be tested for that,
right? And if you have,
but nobody displays it. This is another funny thing, you know. All olive oil.
I want to. By the way, I'm going to display. I don't care if it's low. It's low. That's just what you're getting.
Yes,
The customer doesn't want the peppery taste. Well, that's the result you're going to get.
Of course. It's not for everybody, but at least be honest with what you're offering, right?
Right.
It's all about being transparent and being honest. So we're going to be launching a high phenolic olive oils, brand new flavored olive oils, whole crushed fruit olive oils. You know, those are still kind of top secret right now because we haven't mentioned them yet, and I don't know when.
I haven't even heard that one yet,
and I don't know when this podcast is coming out. So
what does whole crushed fruit mean?
Basically, we're crushing the whole fruit with our olives together. The fruit with the olives.
Oh, the co-milling.
Yeah.
The for your infused lines.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that would be that's another industry trend that I've noticed. Smart to do it. That's what everyone's doing.
Not only on top of this, but they are extremely high in antioxidants. So it's not we're not using
the old oil,
inferior oil to flavor. This is super healthy fruit.
I love the idea of the high quality oil with the fruit because a lot of producers will there are different reasons for this. Sometimes they don't want the flavors of the fruit to impact their oil, so they'll do it at the end of the production cycle. Because the flavor of the fruit could mask the actual quality of the oil's flavor. They do this to truffle oils as well. Like you could ask a truffle, they're not going to tell you. Like I've asked at these conferences. I'm like, so where does your olive oil come from? Because you could tell like the oil doesn't taste good. It's like a not so good oil because the truffle takes the flavor over, or the infusion takes over the flavors. You don't really know what the oil tastes like. But if you can make that like a really good olive oil with the flavor and a good combination, that is just
number one.
I would love that. I'm still looking for it. It's hard. There's some good ones out. I'm only one person. All that matters is what people think.
I'm sure over time you're gonna be exposed to more and more.
And I'm still learning. I'm not an expert at all. I'm in year one.
You're gonna do some beautiful things in the olive industry.
I hope it's gonna be ups and downs.
You know, maybe you're gonna be one of the lucky ones where you're very popular and you get automatic recognition because everybody wants to follow you. But for us, it took us long time. It took us a long time to be where we are. We're just very consistent.
You're a grower. You're different business model. I'm doing hard work, but it's just way different than what you are working on fields. You're going away from your family to be out here in harvesting season. It's like you're really serving for your company. And that's just amazing. And as long as people could recognize your company and recognize the people behind it, then this world will be consuming better olive oil. But to get people to really recognize that in this day and age with TikTok and Instagram and short attention spans, and the way this world works is people follow what is like really good. So if someone's doing something popular, you'll follow the trends. It's all about trends. And like there are things that you do that are trends, but then there are also things that you do like use it as an education platform. And like that's kind of what I'm trying to do, and I hope other people follow me.
Yeah.
A lot of farmers experience the same problem, different world. We never really discussed you and your brother's relationship with this at all. So you take this from your dad, and I guess what happens when it comes to business decisions? Like, does one of you have control over one element of the company and one person has another?
Yes, we try to, but obviously we will both want to come here. Obviously the harvest that happens starting typically in the end of October, I'm fully in charge because I've been doing it. And then my brother comes here during the spring and summer.
Right.
We did a switch for the first time this past summer, and I came in the summertime. On top of so we split our time. Yes, we try to have different roles so we don't get in each other's way. We're a good match. We work very well together.
That's awesome.
And this is very important because I couldn't do it without my brother, and my brother couldn't do it without. And he relies on me that I'm gonna do my best for us to make the absolute best olive oil.
Yeah.
Just like I trust him that he's gonna do the right pruning because it's gonna be reflected in the type of fruit that we're gonna have in the fall. So
Absolutely.
this is all very important.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It was so beautiful the way you said that. I don't want to take anything away from that because like you couldn't do it without him, he couldn't do it without you, and like that. I love that. You feed off each other well, and you keep each other going. You keep each other motivated because again, times aren't always so good. Like there's so many just downtime. It's like, oh, your question, like what are we doing this for? And you have your brother and you have your family, you have the trees, and that's kind of what you go back to in the end. I guess I never did an introduction. What's your full name?
So my name is Diamantis.
Diamantis. Okay.
Yeah,
and
Diamantis
your brother
Pierrakos. My brother is Dino
and Diamantis. So I guess we're at the Laconiko Grove right now.
Yeah, we're one of our olive groves.
This is the beachside grove.
This is the beach. This is our beach groves. This is where all the good olive oil is made.
Yes, I did take pictures. If you walk about like maybe 200 meters that way, you're on a private beach for many kilometers.
Yes,
and it is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
the very dark sand, no rocks. Just go out there. The waves are so calm.
Yes.
You could. I mean, I have a bathing suit.
Depends on the day that you come. Usually it's calm water.
Of course, sometimes you'll get screwed. But it's awesome. It's a it really is. It's like a mini paradise that you right now only you get to enjoy, but one day, and you're clearly working towards this. You want to get many people to enjoy.
Of course. To be able to share this. I think this is a beautiful thing. It's also sharing a part of our culture and traditional because I think this is such a beautiful thing.
We haven't talked about that yet, like the Greek culture and tradition, kind of like
we have good food.
Oh, yeah, fantastic food.
Imagine pairing it with an amazing olive oil. This is going to be even more tasty.
Yeah, and what's crazy though, you'd think, and people always say like, "Are you having the best olive oil of your life right now?" And I'm like, "Yes, I taste fresh producer oil like I've never had that before." Because first off, like I didn't learn this stuff last year, so I wasn't consuming anything early on last year. My first olive oils were consumed in April when I was actually looking for quality. So I've never tasted good olive oil in my life. But like now I am consuming the best oil. But that's besides like when I'm away from producers, when I'm in when I'm in like shops and whatnot, like there's a lot of oil that's not so great. That still goes on here, and people don't know better because they'll just say it's the best, thinking what they have is the best because they're convinced. But it still isn't. There still needs to be education in these places.
Yes,
this is where it gets complicated.
You're absolutely right. People think that just because you're in an agricultural area and it's this is a big olive oil region that all the olive oil must be good. No, this is false. You have to also understand that the people still don't know how to properly store olive oil. It might have been the best, but it's not the best now. You understand? And you also have to understand the type of profile that producers were trained in producing, right? We weren't trained to produce a very high quality extra virgin olive oil. We cared about the yield. There's a different process to squeeze more juice from the fruit.
Yeah.
So we have acquired those profiles in our oils. My father had a hard time accepting those oils. You understand? Because he wasn't ready to accept that new profile now. So that also takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. An olive oil producing country doesn't necessarily mean again that we make all the producers know their stuff. Most producers don't know what good olive oil is.
Around the world, every place that it gets produced. I don't care where it is.
Yes.
There's so many rumors that go around also about different countries, and we haven't really discussed this because like I don't want to ask. But like a lot of people in Greece, they say bad stuff about Italy. Italy says bad stuff about Spain. Spain says bad stuff about everyone else. And
I don't say this.
You don't. No. I haven't heard a single thing.
I don't say anything.
But usually producers don't usually take. It's usually the people in the villages when I speak in that conversation. It's like, oh yeah, like this is easily the best. I'll like ask people out of the blue. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
So what do you think of like Spanish oil?
Yeah,
and they're
of
like,
course.
Supermarket oil. Like Italy, oh, you're getting fraud every time.
Yeah.
But like this is not true. That's stuff that I think it's nonsense. Like Greek olive oil is the best. It's not Greek. Sorry, I don't want to offend you. Greek olive oil is not the best because like no country's olive oil is the best. Yeah. It's about the producer. It's about the story. It's about maybe in this country you have land that is better for a certain varietal, and someone likes that varietal a lot. Right. So then it might be the best. But it is not. I'm sorry.
No. Nobody has the best. Because we all have different varietals. That's why when anybody asks me, which one do you like? I may have a preference in the type of oil, right? This is something different. But just because I have a preference doesn't mean that, mine is better than his. No. It has different profiles. Just like people just need to understand that. You may prefer different types of wine. Same thing. We have different climates, different soils, different olive varietals.
Right.
So expect different characteristics, but there are certain similarities amongst good olive oils.
Yes, and it gets really interesting because like a Kornecki, I've actually seen this in Italy and a bit more in Spain than Italy, but like certain producers will try to bring on Kornecki, but it's not the same. It's a little different than the
Yeah, of
Kornecki
course,
here.
it's very different Coronaki.
Yeah, and everything also like takes time because if you say, and this is all new stuff because people are getting more educated and the varietal matters more. It used to be all like big industry. So more in recent years, you'll see like the people trying to bring Kornecki in. But at least again, this is all what I'm learning right now.
Yeah.
I don't know anything before this year, but whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like it all takes time, and a lot of times like you kind of have to experiment with it. Like you have a line of Kornecki, but it's not that good.
Yeah, it's like me bringing an Italian or Spanish varietal, trying to grow the Piqual
You
here
have to
or something.
experiment with like how much water it needs, like what kind of like terrain it works best
Yes.
in, like
Yes.
because the
And
temperature is gonna be a little different than what it usually is. It's been growing there for hundreds of years.
Yes,
Here
it
it's
has
never
adapted.
grown. But like it's cool that you're sticking with one varietal. You're not doing like 10 varietals in your farm and like doing all these tests and no. You're like this is authentic
For me,
Greek
yes,
Kornecki.
I'm trying to be a perfectionist and be able to say that I make the best Koroneki, period. I'd rather be perfect in one than average in many. You
I
understand?
agree. Of course, if you grow 10 different varietals on land, like how the flavor profiles will be impacted by that.
Yeah.
They do it someplace in California. They'll test with different ones. They'll do
yes.
Tuscan blend. They'll do like Lacino and
Sure.
the Manza and whatever. I don't know, like these different oils, and I guess they'll blend it together to make it taste like a Tuscan blend, or they'll do like a certain varietal, like a Castelvetrano.
Yeah.
And it looks good. But I feel like if you focus on one variety, then you could unify it throughout your farm and make it really excellent.
Yes, I agree. This is what I like.
Yeah, there are different approaches, and like I'm not gonna say one's better than another, but you like this, and I completely respect that. I think it's a smart play. You have trees here that have been here for a little while, and you have the new trees. How do you decide what kind of grove you wanted to do with like intensive or mild or like traditional or super intensive? Like, how do you make that decision of how far you want to plant the trees? How do you like kind of construct your
we
process?
have a lot of new trees. For us, obviously, we saw a lot of gap in a lot of space in between the grove.
Right.
So at least during the younger years of the tree, to utilize the space that is available to us.
Optimize the amount of olive oil you could get, but without like harming the other trees that are in the way. Like you don't, it's not super intensive at all. But like there are these categories, and like intensive is what like every grove does these days. Like you can't.
And plus, people need to understand that there's studies being done right now. High density planting. But regardless, all these trees, no matter the age, they're always being pruned to produce good olive oil. It's not like you can never let the tree become a skyscraper.
You don't want that.
You don't want this because it will not be very productive, maybe producing a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
So you're constantly pruning it down. So there's techniques that are approached. You have different machinery, you have different terrains. Certain terrains can handle those high density planting. Greeks, we don't have the 1,000 acres all in one plot of land to be able to experiment, to do those type of experiments. Other producers may be fortunate and be able to do this. So Greece, a lot of small groves spaced out.
The land's a little weird here. It's way different than like Puglia. It's even though Puglia's in the water, it's not. These are not. It's so much different. And then it's also much different from Sicily. It was much. Badalucca was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been northern Italy. It's like that.
Yeah.
Whoa. But like you were saying about like the tall skyscraper trees, it's crazy because you'll find wild olive trees or like abandoned ones, and like
they'll get huge.
They are huge, but they don't. They're like wrapped in weeds, and they're not growing. They're not producing olives, and it's like people are like, oh, get wild olive oil. Well, it's a little more complicated. You gotta like do it properly and get your proper output. And then one thing that I love, the orange tree in the background. Like I'm from New York. I'd never seen orange trees before this whole journey that I'm doing right now. So it's just amazing when I'm like in, I was in Kalamata before. I'm staying there right now. And you're in the city and there's this tree with all these oranges. I'm like, Because you think like, I remember I used to watch the movie like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's an American movie. I don't know if you've seen it before, but
I have.
Yeah, it's like you eat candy off of nature. It's like everything's candy.
Right.
But like I personally like fruit better than candy. Like I'm not kidding. Like if it's dessert time, like I'd rather an orange than Skittles. So the fact that I'm able to walk up to a tree here and just like take an orange off and it's just in the background like it's nothing. It's just olives, you can't do that. A little more complicated.
a little more sour.
Bitter. Oh my God, crazy. But it's crazy how you could tell though. Like you said, that you could tell like the olive oil will be good based on the bitterness that you taste.
Yes. You can get a lot of.
How many years have you been doing this? What's your age now?
Gosh, I mean,
25.
Time the last 12 years we've been doing it a lot.
So you're like 38 now around?
No, 42.
42.
I look young.
Good number. You look young for 42, of course.
Let's try
Some oil. All right. So, what kind of oil is this?
So this is from the Koroneki varietal. So we're gonna try it in the Koroneki. I'm gonna pour this into your tasting cup. You know what they say, right?
What?
Like for you to taste the proper amount of oil in the tasting cup should be a third of the cup full. Did you know this?
No, but I always do that.
Do you? Or did you do it naturally?
The way that I do sometimes.
Because if you put too little, you can't get it.
Nah.
If you put too much, you can't get it. It has to be like a third or something.
I'll sometimes spit it out and I just taste a lot.
Okay.
I'll get some to the bottom, but then after a while, I just want to get the flavors. But then your tongues are already coated, so you may not get as much of the taste. So it gets complicated. People do it differently.
It's clay pot, so I don't know how fast it can warm up, but I'll give you an idea.
I don't. Even though the warm is the official thing, you could still taste. You could still taste it. It gets really specific, but I could just go like this out of the bottle. It smells great. Do you taste oil a lot? Do you ever taste different varietals?
Oh yeah.
From other places?
I love.
Really, I actually have some. Do you want? You want to taste? I have in the.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll do that also.
I'm a very big fan of Piqual too.
I have some Piqual in the car. We'll bring it. Very fresh. Yeah, it's so fresh.
Very grassy, has a lot of, and there's nuttiness in the oil.
This is good. I like it. Some of the Koroneki that I've had in other places it doesn't have a defect, but it has this flavor that's a little different. Like, this is way fresher. There's something in it that you know is just a little off. I don't know what it is.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. This doesn't have it. This is like great.
Very clean in the mouth.
Do you know what the polyphenol count on this?
Oh yeah, this is over 600.
Yeah, that's incredible. The one thing that I actually mentioned before about polyphenols, which I actually debate about putting it on the bottle, is because polyphenols will change based on like
storage conditions.
Yeah, exactly. If you open the bottle once and then you have exposure to oxygen, you put it in a warm cabinet. So what is your advice for people?
My advice when somebody knows they're getting a very good, healthy extra virgin olive oil, when you open it, I would prefer that you consume it in the next 2-3 months.
2 or 3 months? Yeah.
Maximum.
I agree.
This is the problem you need to think about. If the olive oil is delicate, it's not an oil that you can have all year long. Now, let's say you have big clientele base and they understand the idea of this, right? And then you bring it delicate, just tell them, use it up before the end of June. Like, you understand?
I'll tell them, like, if I work with, say, a chef that wanted, like, a very delicate oil, like, once he opens it, it's like, use it now. Like, use it. Yeah. Don't let it sit in your cabinet for 3 months. You could start to smell a little fermentation. It's crazy.
So this is the reason why we filter and then we top it off. If the stuff sits in here for too long, it's a problem.
One last question, I guess, that I've asked some sort of version of this to a lot of producers. It's like, you were kind of born into this. You didn't choose olive oil. It kind of chose you. And you made the choice with your brother consciously to go into the industry. And it's amazing. I'm really happy I was able to meet you. You're here and, you're doing really good stuff. But if you had none of this, take all the land away, you maybe move to Australia or something, and you had to start from scratch. Would you do this all over again?
100%.
Why?
My brother, it's funny, He asked me almost the same question. He phrased it differently. If somebody gave you $20-30 million to sell the business, would you do it? My answer was no. If that means anything, to sell everything what you're doing, it's like selling myself. So it is more than money. It is.
Business person in me is like, oh my God, $20 million.
I'm just saying.
I understand. No, it's agreed because this is a passion. This is not a money thing. That's amazing. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it was awesome that did we meet in June at Fancy Foods or no?
I think we might have met.
Yeah, I remember meeting you and your brother. You too. I tasted.
If you saw both.
You're in the right corner. On the bottom floor. Good, all right.